Hello, good evening. Sorry about that. I had a little glitch with the camera just trying to get that up, and I couldn't find my Versamark, which is essential for this evening because I'm going to be heat embossing. So, nice to see I've got a couple of people on here already. As soon as I actually set it up, people can actually see now online. They can see me before I've actually hit the live button. So it's a bit strange, I don't know how that works, but hey, there we go. So let me get you down onto the table, and I'm going to be showing you something. It's an oldie but goodie, and using something that's not normally associated with crafting. I've had this product for a number of years, a long while. Hi Lynn, hi Marilyn, hi Anne. You're watching and bottling pears. Oh, very nice, Anne. Homegrown. Very nice. Anyway, let's get down to the table and see what we're gonna do. Oh, that one. No, that one. Let's try there. That. There we go. You've got me in the corner. Okay, so we are going to be heat embossing. I've got a couple of things I'm going to do with a product. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but the clue was in my graphic I just quickly pinched off the website. So not Stampin' Up website, this is just a general product. Now, any ideas what this might be? I want some guessing games going on. So I've had it for at least 10 years. I've been in this house 10 years. Way before that, I was living in Northwold. Hi, Linda, sorry. Long time no see. A few hours ago. Lynn was at my class today over near Great Yarmouth. So we've had fun today, and they've all been watercolouring, doing different techniques with watercolouring on a half-day class. So it was really nice. So this is the product I'm going to use today. I have found my Versamark ink pad, and we have the powders. We're there. So I don't know what colour I'm going to use. You can have a little bit of a vote on this if you like, as to what you'd like to see, what colour wise. So we have the usual, the gold, the silver, the copper, the clear. We won't use clear today because it needs to have colour with it. And yeah, gold and silver, black and white. So this is the colour of the natural product. Anyone got any ideas? Some of you might have seen this a long while ago. I haven't done it very recently, but it's a good product, and I thought I'm just going to show you some different ways of using it. So I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock. I have everything stacked around me because they haven't been unpacked. So let's just find where I put everything. My little baby trimmer here. I'm going to cut a piece that is a little bit shorter than the note card size, because that's what we've been playing with today. So note cards start at 3.5, so I'm going to come out about 1/8 of an inch and quarter of an inch under there. So 2 inches on that one. Now the only thing is I can't do that on the little trimmer, so just get the big one out. So, and David's gone to bed, so I think I have both cats in here now. So it could be entertaining. So there's a panel that would fit onto one of our note cards that are all packed away. Yes, all packed away. They're in one of the boxes in here. And there's Mr. Mischievous, you might just see running up the stairs in a sec. So note cards and envelopes here. You like copper, that's the first colour to come in. So let's go for copper. There we go, that's one box out of the way now. That's good. So there's an envelope, quite a thick envelope actually, and one of my note cards out of the box. You know I love these. They're really, really useful. So I'm just going to crease that one. My tools are all away in one of the boxes. This side of me probably. This was actually my packing kit that I took when I went to Strasbourg. We had to take some of the crafty bits with us. So this was good just to put them in one of our wood mount cases. Excuse me, got a tickly cough. So those elastic bands might get pinched by the cat shortly. So there's the envelope, pop that out of the way. And then this is the panel that's just going to sit on the front here. Okay, this is a wing it night, Wednesday wing it. So I've got a layer there. If I want to sponge the edges, I can. If I want to shrink it down a little bit, I can as well. So, in fact, before I start, I'm going to do 2 of them, because I've got 2 different techniques I want to show you, and then we can go with what we fancy next. Let's just take another one of those. There's 2 there. I'll just do it on the big one. So we came down 1/4 inch under, so 5 inches will come down to 4 3/4, and then 3 1/2 will come down to 3 1/4. Okay. This was another one I might need to make a list of, a new list for the ladies to actually see. But first of all, I'm going to do a different technique first. Here, yellow. I'm going to just look for the ink pad. There we go. I'm going to just do a technique first. This is a product that you still haven't guessed yet. And I'm going to take a length off here. Those of you in the know, just leave it for those just to guess a little bit. I'm going to stretch this just a bit longer than what I need, just slightly. Okay, and then cut that off. It is mildly tacky on the back. Okay, I'll keep that in the corner there. So it's mildly tacky, and I want to just put this on down the middle of the card. So I think I'm going to line it up on my grid paper there and see if I can get that roughly sort of squarish going down the side there. It is a bit on the wonk, so I can actually just pull that slightly and that might straighten it up. Okay, and I'm going to put that just over the bottom there. There's somebody going up the stairs, I think. There we go. So there's my piece ready to go. Now, if I wanted to, I could put actually long post-it notes either side of that, just to mask off the area that I want to use. You know. Good girl, keep it a secret. I just need to find my long post-it notes. They were on the table. They might have gone next door. Let me just see if I've got some in the drawer in here. Okay, we might just have to put a piece of paper over and just mask it ourselves. So, what have we got we can use? I have loads of those post-it notes, and the one time I want them, they're not where I want them to be. I want to just mask off the sides there. Now I'm just going to get a piece of copy paper and I'm just going to fold it over the edges. Now, if you want to just mask off sides on something, what you can do is actually just fold that in there. Okay. And then we can fold it in here. Okay, so this is my cheats way of doing it. The only thing that would be maybe a good idea is just put some tape runner down the back here, just to keep that in the same place. And we can slide it back in. This is an old runner that I've got. So if I lay it in there and mask off to those edges, then that's going to hold it in place. And that's going to go there. Okay, so that's all we've done basically. Okay, I really need to get some more. I'm using them more and more these days. So take off the excess so we don't get a nice big blob, and then we're going to just blend this one away. Okay. So what I'm using is actually like a plastic coat on it. It's not going to pucker up. It's not going to tear. It's very strong. That might give you a little bit of a hint as to what we're going with this. Just making some backgrounds just to be able to play with at a later date. Oh yes, we've got nice straight edges down there. Oh yes, look at that. So there we go. Take that off. This is our Moody Mauve. So this is one of the in colours that's just about to retire. So if this was one of your favourites, you need to just... Lynn's got it. Absolutely right, Lynn. So I'm just going to lift that off. This is removable tape on the back there. So this is my surface I've just done. But, so Lynn's actually correctly put, this is for plasterboard. So this was bought from when there was a builder's merchant in Brandon, when I lived in Northwold or Thetford, I can't remember which. Might even go back to Thetford days. It's a mesh that goes on, it's plastic, so it just goes on to hold the plasterboard together, and then they plaster over the top. They put the plaster over it, so it's kind of like it knits it together. Okay, it's mildly tacky, which is why it's staying on the back of my card. But when I had this roll, it was about out here. Okay, it was a big roll. Back in the day, I paid £13 on to get that image, was showing it at $2.99 a metre. So it's a big difference in price. Now this is an experiment. I've not done it this way before, but I've done the next one that I'm going to do. Now I'm just going to lift this off. Because it's tacky, it's stuck to the card. It's not sufficient to last forever, so I wouldn't leave it on there without fixing it some other way. But now I'm just going to lift this off. This is all inky, but look at the background texture. We've just made our own texture with a DIY tool. Okay, lots of little grids on there. Now I think that's really pretty. And we could put, I would take a tiny strip of the Moody Mauve card or a contrast colour and just put the strips down the end, the edges there. It can go landscape, it can go portrait, whichever you want to do. But you could have a session and just do several of those, and it's very, very quick. You have some in orange from work. Well, there you go. It's, yeah, if you can use it from work, then that's free product, isn't it? So it's a good way of doing textures, but you'll like the next one even more. So that was just something I thought of because the blends were on the desk. So that's one. So put the blend out of the way. Now we're going to go on to the heat embossing. So we're kind of going to do the same sort of thing. We could just turn that over. We do need to have a dirty mat and then a clean mat. So if we're going to use copper, that Lynn chose, I'm just going to get the from these have got inside each other somehow. How did that happen? Black, white, some of them a bit thick, clear, gold. That's got something stuck to it or inside. No, copper. There's a copper one. There we go. That's what I want to use today. So the grid paper is just handy size, just to be able to tip your item in here, whatever you want to do with it, tip your powder on it, and then just tip it back in the pot. So that's why I found those useful. So we're going to take a length of this again. So similar sort of size, we want to put some over this piece here. So just roughly for now, I won't leave it on here, just to make a piece, a length that we need. Okay, so take that one off again. So because it's a little bit on the horizontal, if you squeeze the opposite corners and just pull them, you can kind of twist that a little bit so you can bring it slightly back into shape. So I'm going to put this on here. It doesn't matter where I put it, but the reason we put it on a piece of scrap paper first is the fact that you're going to put Versamark all over it, or I'm going to put Versamark all over it. Okay, but the Versamark will stick to my scratch paper underneath here, my copy paper. All right, so if I just put powder on there, I'm going to waste a heck of a lot of powder going onto the paper where I don't really want it. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my tweezers. Got to pick it up carefully. So this is the tray that I want to put my copper on. So all I'm going to do is just lift this off here. Okay, and get rid of that because that's obviously sticky. You could use that more than once, it's not a problem. But this is the area I want it to stick to. On here, you can understand it's going to stick to all that, same as where I put the ink before. So I'm just going to sprinkle some copper embossing powder over here. Be quite generous with it because, as you know, we put the excess back into the pot. So it's not wasteful. Okay. And make sure that that's covering everywhere. I'm just going to tap that off. Now it's got the powder just on that piece. I'm just going to leave that there a sec. There's a bit there that's been missed. So this is a good chance just to dip it back in the powder if you think you've got any bald bits. I think they're mostly done, maybe that edge. Shake off the excess and we're good, we're covered. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it on there. This is the excess powder. It hasn't got any sticky on it. There's nothing in there that's going to do any harm. So I'm going to do that and put the lid on. And pop that over there. As I told you before, it's very airborne, this. So just grab a piece of kitchen roll. I've got some water spray here, so I'm just going to just put some water on the table. Because it's it's a very, very fine dust. And it just creates a little bit of powder, just a little bit of dirt on there, so it's a bit gritty. Okay, so now I'm going to heat this. Okay, and I want you to see how that's going to look. As always, it's a bit noisy with the gun on. Okay, I'm just cupping the paper here just to keep it from falling off. And we're going to keep it in one corner just to start with. Wait for it to start turning. And there it goes. Okay, I'm just going to grab my glasses so I can see. So the heat gun is very, very intense. I say it every time just to remind you, it's not like using a hairdryer. It's a lot more powerful than that. It's more like a paint stripper heat. So extremely hot. Don't burn your fingers. Because it's on a piece of paper and it's not blowing about, I'm just turning the paper around. Keep moving it, keep it on the go. And just stop that and just make sure that it's all nice and shiny. And that is really good, gorgeous. Sorry for my head was in the way. So that's all now heat embossed. So again, we can just lift that off. And there is our piece of mesh. I bring that up to the camera. You kind of need the paper underneath, don't you? Can you see that on there? If I bring it up to the camera, I'm trying to get the shine on it so you can see the copper. We've had instances where the camera doesn't always pick up as detail as what I can see in real life. You love the back. Hi, Angela. Another Angela. Love this background for so many uses. Absolutely. I mean, this one here just came to me tonight because the blending brushes were on the table. So we can do something with that one. And then I can use that piece of mesh there. I can use that over and over again. I wouldn't wash it because it's tacky on the background. Okay, so it's not something, it'll probably lose that tackiness. But it's good, it's tacky enough to hold it in place as you've just seen on there. So that will make a nice background. So it does get a bit scruffy on there. So I've used this just to tip the powder in, so I'll get that out of the way. So here's my piece of card. So we've got that one in the ink and this one in the actual powder, the metallics on here. So I'm not going to put adhesive on the back there. It's got enough tack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere other things to it that are anchoring it down. So part on and part off. Okay, that will hold it in place. So we could wrap this around the back if we wanted to. Just bend that over. Okay, and then we can tape this down. So I'm going to maybe do that to start with. Just gives us that edge. So the best way to do that would be double-sided tape, which I saw in one of my caddies. There we go. I've got a started one here. So just double-sided tape. You can pop it along the back here. That'll just anchor it down. So this is proper adhesive that's, you know, good strong stuff that will stay. So that can go on there. And then a piece on this end as well. The other ways, we used to have brads. You'd pierce a little hole. Remember my tweezers have that little hole in them here. So when you, like a drawing pin that pierce through the card, you can actually use that and then pop a little brad through and then you just split. Oh, it might help if I take the tape off, backing. Take that one off, Sandra. There we go. And pop that down. Then that'll stick that time. Okay, so yeah, so the little brads, if you've got any little brads, I've probably got loads kicking around that need using up. So if you've got something like that, you can pierce a hole through and just make a decorative feature of it, one in each corner, just to catch the edges, just something so it's not going to fall off. Okay, but that now is anchored on there and I'm more than happy. Have to send Andy out to get some of this tape. You want a good to use in a junk journal, absolutely. My heat gun has a warning not to use as a hairdryer. Yes, they should do. It's got the symbols on it. This is a Stampin' Up! One. It does say on here there's all sorts of warning symbols. But yeah, just keep your fingers safe. Wooden pegs are good. And if you want any and you're local to me, I have loads of wooden pegs I bought for a project and then wasn't able to use them for that project for metric to imperial differences and it wouldn't work. So that's a shame. But they will get used for other things. So this was just one of the note cards. I can place this on here now. Now the next thing is, what do we do with it? So I have got, the ladies today have been doing some embossing. So they've done heat embossing, they've done watercolouring. So somewhere here I have seen on my desk some images, ready stamped, ready to go. Like the ones in here maybe. Okay, so this was one of the images what they did today. Sorry you, Linda, you've seen this already. I gave the ladies some extra images to take away with them. So we could do a little bit of watercolouring. Just need to find all the pens. There we go. So these are the 3 water brushes. I've got a fine one. That's the fine one. I like the fine one best. Okay. I think all my little bottles today I gave away because I've got quite a few of them. So what we can do is actually bring this one down to size. It's easier to colour when it's a bigger piece, but then we trim this down and then we'll put a matte layer behind it. But we want to be able to see enough of this, so we might even fussy cut this. Depends how we feel. Okay, but this will be a good one to do. I'm going to get the camera in so you can see more what I'm doing. Oh, where are we? Okay, sorry, I've just taken that off somehow. Got these cameras back to front now. That one, and then that one, that one, that one, and that one. There we go, have that one over and see if that's better. But I want to just zoom it in. That's where I was trying to hit the wrong button. So bring it in, just, oops, not too far. Back a little bit, just so that you can see what I'm doing. Stop my finger and it keeps going. So I'm going to do this. My watercolour pencils are in the back here. Now these are all the Stampin' Up! Ones. They are the 2 sets of colours. I'll put that over there out of the way. So these are gorgeous. So just a little bit of a recap really. We did 2 different techniques today with these. We have the blender pen and we also have the water brush and we have the Wink of Stella. We had lots of things, but these were the 2 they mainly use. They really love the glycerin pen, so I might show you that one tonight because I do lots of watercolouring. So just to recap on the pencils, if you use a water brush, you need to just wet the nib just on a piece of kitchen roll, just have something beside you and just squeeze it through and wipe it so it's nice and just damp really. And then choose the colours you want. I was using the coppery tones on there. So if we take some of this off here, we just take the nib off the top of the pen and then we paint with this. Got a little scrap here I can show you. Tiny piece. So this piece here, all I'm going to do is just paint with that on there and we can just show you how you can soften that. You can, with the wet nib, you can actually bleed that darker piece out. You can do a lot of shading with it, okay? So there's a lot of techniques with that one. The other way we can do it is if we pick a green, because we'll use some green as well, if we do this dry. So we're going to colour on there. And you can probably see if I hold it up to you. This is the scratchiness with the texture of the watercolour paper. I'm just going to clean that pink off the nib. Just squeeze that on the kitchen roll and just wipe the brush. And then here you can use this way and you're just going to literally just get the pen and let the water brush do the work and smooth that out. Okay, so it's really nice and fluid. Okay, so both of those are really nice. If you use the blender pen, we can colour onto the image. So just make sure that that was dry on there. So I think for this one, I'm going to use the blender pen. So I'm using nice soft strokes. And just to remind you, you don't need to have a sharp point on your pencils. Okay, with watercolouring, you don't want to have harsh lines. You're more likely to get harsh lines if you have points, because you won't be able to blend those out as easily. So I'm just colouring those in. The texture on the watercolour paper will naturally just leave you some gaps. So then the blender pen will come in and that will actually fill all those gaps in. So we've got this, I think this is the rich raspberry, I think, colour on this one. We've got, yeah, rich raspberry. That was an old colour. They have upgraded the colours. They do swap them over when we get colour changes, but it's quite nice just to have different shades of. Flirty Flamingo is still with us. Might use this one for some of the others. We'll get the difference in the colours on those. So all I'm doing is soft round motions on these little ones, doing little circles. These ones, the big one I stroked in, so just to keep the lines in there. And there, and like so. And we've got some bigger dots in there. We could do those in a darker colour. Dark purple. My purple unfortunately went walkies, so I've had to pinch one out of an old set that's not it's not the exact colour that we have. What should I do? Is that Melamambo? Yes. I'll use a bit of Melamambo on these ones. Get the glasses down. And then you can be choosing what colour you would like the vase to be. We had some beautiful, oh, we still forgot the photo. We did some beautiful combinations the ladies chose today. They all had carte blanche choices from lots of watercolour pencils. I've got several sets before I did Stampin' Up. We've got the Stampin' Up ones. We've got some a friend gave me years ago. And we just went to town with them. They were all doing different ones. And I took a selection of background papers, the cardstock colours, just so that they could have lots of choice and cut into panels. And the combinations they put together were beautiful. I also suggested, some of them were unsure what colours to use, so I suggested they get their matte layer card colour of the colours they liked and then go looking for a pencil that matched, and that proved to have some lovely combinations. So these are just the leaves here. Just stroke those in. Okay, just colour those. Yeah, the blender pens are really useful for their given job. So I'm just going to use that now. It's a glycerin based on the end there. Now that pink has obviously come from today on something, so I'll use that end for this, but then I'll use the other end for the green. A blue vase. Yes, that would be good, Marilyn. We can do that. So I'm going to start with this long one here. So because this is glycerin based, you can see me, it's not wet, so it's not going to wrinkle the paper, it's not going to saturate the paper, but just on that one petal that I've just coloured in there. I can do another one close to the camera just to show you. So literally it's got some white gaps in there where the colours are, and I'm just dragging those together and it knits that all together beautifully. A little bit close there for you. It's really pretty. So I can't do all of it up in midair, but I just so you can see a little bit close too. So just literally just gently drag those. And we looked up the price. I think it was, they come in a pack of 3. They do work out, I think it's £4.60 each. So I was just rounded it down just to £4.50. These are different shades of pink, but it won't matter. So you're never going back to the water. You're not touching these on water at all, because it's a glycerin formula inside. There is, I found on Pinterest, there is a way to refill these. You can get make up a little solution, and I think you could get liquid glycerin from chemists. I'm not 100% sure on that one, so I'll just wipe that excess off. So it's coloured my back of my hand, but that will wash. But don't put these near water. So I'm going to use the other end for the green. So do exactly the same. And you should be able to see those colours enhancing now as I colour those in. If you're thinking of going on a flight and you want to do some, I suggested that I take things like this on holiday, pre-stamped images, some pencils, maybe a water brush, maybe one of these, and just some kitchen roll folded up, or a packet of pocket tissues even. And these are very therapeutic to take things like this on holiday. You can just sit with a very small kit and colour your images ready to use when you get home. Okay, just fills in some idle time on the plane. And you wouldn't have to worry with this one about having water in the brush. I have travelled through with them before, but once you get through the security, you can go to the cloakrooms or ask in a coffee shop and you can get some water to fill it up. Okay, so I think that's all of that. You can just stroke down if you want to. There's a little bit of colour in here. You can just stroke down those stems. If you haven't got enough, then literally just draw those lines in, and just a few, just so they're not suspended in midair. Okay, and then just run the brush over the same. It would just enhance that just a little bit of green, so you haven't got very thin stems. Okay, so that's looking there. That's looking lovely. And Marilyn, you wanted a blue, didn't you? This is Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to colour this in from the sides. If you have a little bit of light, you can just allow some light in there, coming in from the edges. Okay, so most of the colour is going to be on those outside edges. It will give it a natural curvature, sort of like on there. So you want a little bit, just coming in a little bit further. But as I blend those in with the pen, I will be able to close that gap in on there. Now the only other one I'm going to use is the black, because where we've stamped this, it's bobbly, slightly bobbly paper. So I'm just going to go over this piece so it's more jet black. Okay, and we'll blend that in as well. Okay, so they're the colours we've used. So I'm just going to come in with the pen now and do the turquoisey colour. Okay, so I'm stroking it in from the edges, just blending that in, and then this edge. I think you can see that quite clearly around that outside edge, and then a little bit across the bottom. And we're going to gradually drag that in. We don't want too much colour in there, but we just want to have whatever's on the brush here, and then we'll just knit them together, just so it's paler in the middle. And you blend the borders, so you're blending that out. Okay, and it should give you the effect of a little bit of a curve. It's got light on the front. Okay, so I'm going to use that again on here now with the black. You see that's really filled it in now, very gently, so it doesn't bleed. There we go. It's just quite that you can see it's black. I'll be able to wash my hands later. Bring that one up to the camera. Okay, so you see that little bit of light through the middle of that pot. It's kind of giving you a little bit of openness there. Now, if we're going to sit this onto this surface here, shouldn't need those anymore. There. The water brush is there. So if we're going to pop this on here as a layer, we probably want to be using those duskier pinks on there, because the pinks will go nicely with the copper, but I want this to stand on there. So I'm thinking I'm going to try cutting this down smaller with the mini cutter here. So this is a winglet, true winglet. So I'm going to come very slightly just either side of the image. Okay, about more than ½ centimetre. And then that. So trimming those little bits off. They might even be okay for a very slim greeting. So I'm going to keep those with the watercolour papers. Okay, and then this one, give you the option we're going to put it on a layer. I don't want to cover most of it up, so I'm going to go back to plan A, I think, and I'm going to fussy cut that because I want to have a big enough border around it, but I want to be able to see that copper. Okay, so I'm not going to go all the nooks and crannies. This was actually an image with a shadow on here, so this would be quite good for me to cut off that shadow. Okay, so we've got a real pot, and then we could just leave a little bit of a gap around it. Okay, just roughly cut round. These aren't the best scissors. They feel a little bit dull. Like these ones. I have several pairs and they get varying degrees of sharpness. So just swiveling that the card around in my hands, keeping the scissors fairly still. Okay, that's in the bin. Very delicate. I think going to take my watercolouring kit on the cruise. Absolutely, it's a really good one to take. Anything watercolouring, it doesn't need much at all, and so you can go and sit on, especially on a cruise. It is one of my best things to take because it takes up less room, and you can while away hours while looking out to sea. The best place to go on a cruise ship during the daytime, if you want some peace and quiet and you just want to look out to sea, one of the best places is the cruises I've been on before. They usually, on the ship's newsletter, they give you a timetable of events, and they get a knit and natter group or craft group or something together. So anyone who does craft, they can get you all together to meet up, and then you tend to arrange what you're going to meet, when you're going to meet up each day, especially the sea days. But it's a really good environment, and you can talk with other crafters while you're up there. I found the best place to be is in the nightclub, which tends to be at the top of the ship. And it's dead during the day, but it can be used like a lounge. You can sit and chat. The only thing is the tables are like nightclub tables. They're very low. They're not cocktail ones. They're small round tables, but there's enough room to sit and craft at. Now I'm going to think I don't like that with a gap around the rest of it and not on the top. But what I could do actually, I'm going to leave it like that, but then that's going to be going onto here anyway, so you're not going to notice that as well. Okay, that's just going to give that some detail there. Now what I want to do now is just grab one of those colours for the layer between here and there. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the card store behind me and just grab one of those colours. Coastal Cabana or Flirty, or both. Coastal and Flirty. There we go. And this is how you manage to match the papers. So this is why I love having the Stampin' Up pencils, because they're in the same shades as what we've just used on here. Okay, so they work really well. So I'm going to have to cut into a layer because I haven't got any big pieces of either of those. They're not colours I use loads anyway, and I'm thinking I love this the coastal on there, but I also kind of like the pinky colour. So see what that's going to look like as a layer on there. You've seen me do this a few times like so, but then take that one out of the way and do it with the coastal, and I think I like that one better. Oh, decisions. I probably will get rid of the whole of the background layer and just have that come through like so. That's a great idea. Angela, what was the great idea for? So we could still do a second thinner layer. We could do a little tiny and bring the two in, like so. Maybe. Or the other way around. So this is the joy of just playing with your materials Could do with a smaller piece of card instead of a big sheet, but never mind. So if we cover the whole sheet, so the 5 by 3.5 is the note card size, and then we could have that just inside there like so. That ties in more, I think. It's got the pink coming through. You love the Coastal Cabana. Oh, bless. I think either of those will work, actually. I don't think it really matters. So let's get to grips with this. Grab the trimmer. So 5 by 3.5 is the note card size. They're American sizes, so they come ready packaged. So we have the same sizes. So 5 by 3.5 is a base. Okay, so they can go out of the way. And then this one, I'm going to cut both of them to that, and then we can be more manageable size to have a look at and see what we want, which way round we want them. And just take another little edge off it. Okay. So, which was the last one? I think I had that one on the base. This one to be slightly smaller, and then this one coming on there like so. Okay, that can be off to one side. I think that's kind of combination would work. So let's do that one. So grab my Tombow, stuck in the jar, pop this all over. Okay, really sparing with that. Don't go too near the edges like that corner. Very economical. Okay, that's a good size there. So this one, I don't want to cut this down anymore because I've wrapped this around the edges. I want to keep to that size. So we have got to just literally have a tiny gnat's whisker off that. Just want a little edge to it. Yeah, just the tiniest. So if I grab a pencil and just put a little dot, I only want just outside of this. So put a little dot where I want to cut it, and there, and I want to cut it there. We're good at doing gnat's whiskers, so we can do small amounts. Okie doke. You imagine coming back from holiday, Angela, and having all your little pieces coloured ready to use, and then you can sit and have a play day making up cards. There we go. Some little, and they do go in the bin. I can't use those. They're too small. Okay, and then try this again. There you go. Tiny little border around there just to enhance that a little bit and bring through that colour. And that should sit inside there. Look at that. You've got two very faint layers on there. Okay, and then this can bring it through. And we'll have a sentiment on there as well. Now, if we've got on the table, if we have a splodgy stamp, I don't know if we have. It's not got splodges. Nope. What's that one? No, we've got leaves though. We might be able to use the little leaf in there. No. Got any of those. I've got some new ones on the table as well. Let's just see if there's anything hiding in there. No splodges. I want some little sort of like scattered no. Dotty one. No, that's sentiments. Nothing that I would be suitable to use. This little one here I think might be nice. Or this little flower at the top there, look. That little tiny flower I think could be good. This little tiny one. There we go. It's a tiny little flower. But we can make use of that. So I want my blocks. We're a very big block here. Very big block for a very tiny little stamp. So we want it to be very faint. We don't want it to be too strong. So I'm going to take this is too purpley, this pink. This is a baby one. Let's just take a little sample and see what it's going to be like. Always don't be afraid to try them, just to make a little watermark in the background. You see that? And you see that little tiny, very, very light in the background. I think that would be good. So let's just grab that scrap paper back again. So I'm just going to lay it on here. And then I'm going to stamp this little flower over the background. It's just to save the white, complete whiteness. Okay, it's just going to give us a little bit of ingrain on there. Just vary the angle you're stamping at. A little bit of detail. And then down the other side. Okay. You probably can't see anything online, I'm afraid. Just a little background in that. There's a word that one of my colleagues uses, Ruth. She uses dottage. We like dottage. Shaz, if you come and watch this on replay, yeah, dottage is good. It's where you've got any of your stamps that have just got lots of little dots on them. I think for this one, I'm going to like having this as it was, just with that bleeding out, instead of having some tram lines down there. We know it's adhered well, so I'm going to attach those together now. I'm going to put some more tape on there actually, across here, because it will just anchor it down more, so it's not going to lift while the Tombow's going off. Use Tombow on the rest of it, just to make sure that grabs hold well, and to give it an extra little bit of beef, just press that down really, really strongly, and then lift that off. And this one. Anyone tuning in late? My hands are, I've been using this to get the ink off my hands, off the brush, sorry, the blender pen. So I have been using it as a cleaning board. It can be washed under the tap when I come off air. So just a tiny little border just scraping through there. So we've got the copper on here, which in real life, this is a pinkier tone to this metallics. So that can come on here now. Okay. Of course, if we'd had more time, and I thought I could gut some of the middle of that card out as well. And another time maybe I would probably build the layers up on the card before I fold this over, because then you could just guillotine that off if you want to make it a bit smaller and wrap it round after. Okay, but that's still good. Still liking that. So we can put this one flat, or we can put it on raised pads. We have dimensionals on the table. There and there. Tweezers. So we could put that down, and we want a greeting. We're just going to have a nice simple greeting from Simply Said. So really nice set, this one, and I just use this a lot. It's a good all-rounder. And you want something a little bit bigger, so I'm thinking just to note maybe. Stamp that one. Got another block there. And because we're on basic white, we want to use the same white here. Oh, too small. To bring the white scraps. Did I take them today? No, I don't think I did. I'll find a little piece. Always a little suitable piece of white. Always, always. Just like that piece. So we've got some black outlines on there, so I think I'm probably going to do the black ink. We did have that with us today, so just ink that up nicely. Oh, that's a bit not very clean. That's been used today and it hasn't been cleaned fully. Just bear with. They're going to be buried, aren't they? I'm going to cheat tonight. Not been unpacked yet, so it could be anywhere. Just going to clean this with a wet wipe. I don't normally use the wet wipes because they are just the pure water ones, so they're not going to do any damage. But they can, some of the wet wipes can actually froth up. If they froth up, they are not just water. They've got something in them, like a bit soapy. But these are really good. Just pure water. Some sensitive, huggy sensitive, extra care. So there's no froth on there, you can see. And there's the black. So I'll stamp that on my scrap paper again. Start again. Turn that over and have the emergency side. There we go. I'm going to go with that. I will just do another one. See if that's any better. There we go. I'll use this one. It's a little blacker on there, isn't it? So, turn that away. So glasses down, and I'm going to do a little bit of fussy cutting on this one. And this is where you can actually, if you wanted to, you could, if you've got a die that's the right shape, you can just die cut this. If you want a fussy cut, this is where you can actually break the words up. So you can take the words away. And you could cut around those individually if you wanted to. So don't look at a stamp just as it is, especially the sentiments. You can actually, sorry, I'm off camera, aren't I? Let me zoom you back out again. There we go, get the pad out of the way. You can see me a little bit better now. Yeah, don't look at a sentiment just as it is. Think about, you can take, if you use water-based markers, you could colour just in one colour, in another colour, and note in the other colour. So you can split them up that way. But you can also fussy cut between them and just shape them like this and have them all spread out in different places. I hear footprints padding around the craft room. There you go. I haven't done any fussy cutting online for a little bit, have I? Oh. That's the big boy. He's just jumped up on the table. He's looking for elastic bands, and there are some by my side here. He has this rubber band fetish, and he just likes to pick them up and run away and play with them. But I don't like him doing that because I just worry that he's going to choke on them. Hey, I know what you're after, mate. There we go. So that could be just offset in there, just buried in the corner there nicely. And I think I'm going to raise all of those up. So I'm going to put pads on here, dimensionals there. And how are we? Oh, look, we're good on time. On the whole hour tonight. I'm doing lots of colour. Oops. That's my reminder for my tablets. I really need to change that time so it's not on a 10 o'clock, don't I? Now, how would we like this to go? That way and that way? Or this way and that way? I want it in the centre. I think I'm going to put it that side. As long as the vase is straight. And this one, I'll use some of the little ones on the side, I think. And these half ones at the top. And then one at the bottom. There we go. And where would we like that greeting to go? I just want to have that overlapping just a little bit there. Just a note. There we go. And how does that look? So just showing you some, like I said, a comment that I think Angela put in the comments the other night. Sunday night, and I just thought about the texture. She was loving the texture. So hello kitties. This is why we stamp on scrap paper first. Check if the stamps are clean. Been doing this lots for new stamps. Yeah, new stamps do take a bit of like breaking in, really, don't they? Yes, next play day. I've spoken to someone today about that, Angela. So the first Saturdays of the month, we're trying to get as a regular workshop session. So this month will be, so the first Saturday in April, I think is it the first or second? I think it might be the second. We will have a DIY one. So you bring your own projects along, just a nominal fee for refreshments and logs for the fire if we need them. That's what I normally say. Just maintenance and running costs. But then you can use all of my stuff in the craft room as well. So I'll leave you with that one, and then I'll come back on a camera. I think that's really just picking up those colours, two-tone on the outsides. I'm really pleased with that one, and little tiny flowers down the back on the sides. Okay, might not be so noticeable. Okay, so I've enjoyed doing that one tonight for you, and I hope you get some. I'm going to take that one off and come bring it back to me. Yeah, so the scrapbooking days, we're going for the first Saturday in the month. It might not always work out like that, but we'll do one month to the next. And we've had I did a kit last month, for the beginning of March. And so for the beginning of April, it will be a DIY. So you just come along, bring your own projects to work on, use my inks, my dyes, my stamps, anything you want to use, machines, just bring your bare bones scrapbook page, things you want to work on. Don't need to have the photos, okay? You just can't see the dotted. It's there. It's very pale pink on there. And then the next month we will do, so May will be another DIY, and then June will be a kit. So we'll alternate through, just one on one. So if anyone's local to me in Norfolk and you want to do scrapbooking, then just please get in touch, drop me a message, and we can sort you out. Okay, so that's all for today. We've done really well on timing. So we've just gone over that hour. So take care, and I will see you again on Sunday. Sunday I am out doing the afternoon. I'm not quite sure. If I'm not going to make it, then I will put up, and I'll try and get a note put up while I'm away. It's just once a month. We didn't have one last Sunday, a Sunday in February, so this is 2 months since the last one, so I won't be missing that. So I might be home in time, I might not. We'll play it by ear. Okay, so I will see you